Good morning, class, and thanks for visiting my post for this week. So when answering this week's discussion board question, I first wanted to break the two parts up and answer how can an increase in the middle class lead to democracy, and then how can an increase in the middle franchise or politics lead to democracy. So to answer the first question regarding the middle class, perception that people it's a perception that when people become middle class, their education increases, there's an increase in their standard of living, and they have more access to needs and goods and all that. And then there's a realization that there are other opportunities out there. When somebody gets out of this, for instance, in Islamic countries, most people in the country have known this way of living. It's the way people have lived for thousands and thousands of years, and it's just been a continued pattern. However, if there is this increase in middle class, then people are getting out of this standard of living that they've lived in for so long, and they have more access to all these things. And then they're more willing to become, because they have access to education, they're more educated, they have access to opportunities, there is this willing to become more involved, and someone's more willing to find change and to create change and to continue to have change. So then a strong middle class also leads to less regimes attempting to rise up and overthrow the government, because a strong middle class can influence change through vote and working for change, and a strong middle class has a greater influence for change instead of using violence. A lot of people, we've read in the book so far this semester that a lot of people have stayed away from change because change with the regimes came with violence, and a lot of people did not want to take part in violence. So they were always staying away from working towards democracy or working towards change, because violence was one aspect of working to that, and many people did not want to take part in that. And so as a strong middle class is created, there is a less need for regimes to act out violently, because there's more people working for one common cause. So education, strength in numbers to spread change and try democracy, a decrease in regimes and violence that scare people, people also would not work towards democracy because they were oppressed. So a stronger middle class could move away from this oppression, because once again, educated and were willing to work for opportunities. Because of all these things, people can realize they can make a difference and change, and a desire to become more successful. And this desire and this better self-esteem is always good, because people are always more willing to work for something if they feel good about something and if they have a higher self-esteem about something. So for the middle class, an increase in the middle class, education, strength in numbers, willingness to spread change because they're no longer oppressed, no longer taking part in violence, and a better self-esteem is how we can have this increase in a middle class. And then increase in political or middle franchise and political freedom comes also from this more educated people we have a more engaged population that wants change because they're educated and they realize the opportunities out there. And because of this education, there's a willingness to form political parties to represent them. People are educated to say, oh, well, now I can form a party that represents me, because they have that background and that education of knowing that. And the book mentions for this week in chapter 29 a conservative political party that was formed, the Muslim Brotherhood. So, and then people are able to work for what they desire and feel like they have a possible voice in politics. So a strong middle class leads to a stronger voice and representation, a willingness to create representation and change. So I know I'm going over, but I created this little causal map to try and see how, put everything that I said, how we got from this point to this point for this week. So the bottom of the map is an increase in middle class with education. Education leads to more access to opportunities. More access to opportunities moves to a realization to work towards greater goals and more rights. And this willingness to work towards greater goals becomes this increase in political franchise, because creating organizations to represent the people because of their education. So we go to an engaged and educated population, to forming political parties, to having political parties instill these free elections, voter and political openings, and all that taking place. So I hope all that makes sense for the week. It was a really challenging question, but I really enjoyed the question. It really got me thinking for the week. So I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.